entertainmentbuddha.com.
Hey everyone, Matt here with entertainmentbuddha.com, bringing you a sort of let's play for Abyss Odyssey from Ace Team. Alright, this game is self-described as a 2D side-scroller rogue-like RPG light. Now that's a mouthful, but it does pay off on those promises. So what you're checking out here, I am setting up a co-op match for Abyss Odyssey. Abyss Odyssey features single player, it features local and online co-op. It also features a local multiplayer mode called Versus that functions very similar to Super Smash Bros. Melee. So the whole idea behind this game is that this evil warlock has sprung up these abysses all over Chile, which is where Ace Team's from, and you have to take these 3 supernatural warriors down into the abyss to vanquish the warlock and his forces. So here we got a co-op game going. It's myself and my man Wu-Tang Clan. I'm playing as the Ghost Monk, who's the dude in the hood there. He kind of has a big broadsword, moves a little bit slower, but is much more powerful. Where the Wu-Tang Clan is playing as Catrian, who is a little more like a ninja, a lot more nimble, quicker moves, and she uses a blade that can be held in one hand. So the concept of this game, like I said, you go down the abyss. So you pick 1 of 3 starting points. Each starting point offers a shorter distance to the goal, but the shorter the distance to the goal, the more difficult the challenge is going to be. So right here we started off on the first starting point. So as you saw a few seconds ago, it said area difficulty easy. So throughout the abyss, you will come across these areas that are either going to be categorized as easy, moderate, or hard. And I think you can figure out which one does which. Alright, so throughout the abyss, you can see you got to use a combination of platforming, which for the most part works well. Abyss Odyssey does have some finicky controls overall as far as the combat goes and jumping. As you'll see throughout this very long co-op let's play, sometimes either myself or Wu-Tang Clan will get stuck trying to jump up a relatively easy looking ledge, but such is life. I mean, like I said, overall the game controls just fine. I really didn't find it to hamper the experience too greatly. Right now we're getting into a little bit of a skirmish. So as you notice, we're just kind of freely exploring the level. It's kind of Metroidvania, if you will. You can go up, down, back, retraverse areas you've already been to. But every once in a while, once you approach a certain section of a level in the abyss, you will be boxed in by these shadows and you'll have to fight these demons. Once you fight the demons or kill at least one of them, you can then proceed on in the map. One thing we found with co-op that's kind of a bummer is the fact that friendly fire is turned on and it cannot be turned off. So you'll see throughout this let's play that a lot of times I'm kicking Ray's ass and he's kicking my ass, but neither of us are kicking the asses of the bad guys. Which makes this already challenging game even more challenging. So word to the wise, if you're playing in co-op, you got to come down or come up with a strategy where each member of the team stays on one side of the screen during those skirmishes. And once you do it that way, you can kind of pass enemies back and forth to each other, which is kind of neat. So sprinkled throughout the level, there are items to pick up as well as hazards. You can't use every item. You have to pick up weapons that your warrior can use. So like I said, Catrian, she uses fast-moving swords. Ghost Monk, he uses heavier broadswords. And then Pikoya, she kind of uses a spear. So as long as the weapon is available for your class, you can pick it up and add it to your inventory. So here we're moving on to another area, still easy. So the first few levels of the Abyss, if you start from the easiest starting location, are fairly simple. I mean, quite frankly, this game would make a good game for speedrunners. The Wu-Tang Clan and I, we kind of wanted to go around and explore, check out some treasure, just get a feel for the co-op experience. But in all honesty, if you really wanted to, you could blow through each one of these Abyss levels as fast as possible just by trying to find the exit, which is 99% of the time at the bottom of the level. But in all honesty, I kind of enjoy the exploring aspect of Abyss Odyssey. So I'll kind of shut up for now and just let you watch a little bit of the gameplay. One thing should note, if you saw those coins there, loot I do not believe is shared. So that's another thing that can get troublesome when playing Abyss Odyssey in co-op is, you know, if your friend's a little loot hoard, he may steal everything from you, kind of like I was doing to the Wu-Tang Clan. So what we're looking at here, this is called an altar. Altars, you can bring your warriors back to life if you die. So Abyss Odyssey doesn't really feature true permadeath. What happens is if your warrior dies, a soldier will come back, and if the soldier makes it to the altar, being controlled by you, he can revive your warrior. So what we were just looking at a few scenes ago was an altar. These altars also have save points, but to use a save point you have to buy a camp token. Camp tokens cost money, and they're not cheap, and camp tokens can typically only be used once. So there's a bit of strategy involved in Abyss Odyssey's gameplay. I mean, outside of having a heavy focus on fighting game controls, as you can see here, I mean, this is like I said, at times this game almost feels like you're playing a Super Smash game or a similar type of fighter. Hopefully you're taking in the environment and the graphics and the textures. I found this to be probably the most intriguing aspect of Abyss Odyssey is its Art Nouveau visual design. Again, each level is procedurally generated, so no two trips through the Abyss will ever be the same. And also, more or less, you're going to get a variety of looking levels and backgrounds. You know, here we have this kind of earthy green tone look. It almost looks like a cave. There's other areas we ran into that kind of look like a frozen Antarctic venue. And then there's the tropical forest, real rainforest, trees, vibrant colors looks as well. So back to my point on loot and the altars. So the altars, you can use those for save points. You can also buy gear from that trollish looking dude. Unfortunately, he usually doesn't have things you can afford, and a lot of times you really just want him to sell some health vials, because again, this game is tough. It will kick your butt, especially playing in co-op when you beat each other up like Wu-Tang and I kind of did throughout this entire playthrough. Let's see if I give him a smack here in a second. Oh, so what I'm doing here is I discovered a secret area, which these are sprinkled throughout the Abyss. Some require an elemental skill to get through, such as your fire weapon. Some you can just pound on like I did with my sword there. So speaking of your skills, you have your main attack, which is controlled by X. You also have your jump, which is controlled by A. You can jump through 4 floors by holding down an A. As you can see here, I'm kind of being a dick and holding up Wu-Tang Clan. There we go, I'm jumping down. So in addition to your basic attack and jump, you also have special moves, which can be tied to the Y button. So the Y button, you have 3 special attacks. You have just Y, you have up and Y, and then you have down and Y. Each of these skills are unlocked by playing the game. Each are different for each warrior. But for the most part, all warriors have a projectile attack, and all warriors have at least 2 more powerful weapon attacks by using the Y button. And then finally, the B button can be used to throw an enemy, so you can actually kind of start chaining a juggling combo if you're good enough. And then you obviously have a dodge and a block button with the trigger and the shoulder buttons. So here we are, we're at another altar. Perfect timing, we're getting into the skill tree. So here I'm adding some skill points to my skills. So these skill points will further buff out the skill, either giving it more damage, allowing you to recoup mana, which is an expendable item you can use, represented in the blue in your character's status bar. If your mana is full, you can unleash a devastating attack and kind of possess the soul of one of your demons, which you can then turn into. So once this cuts away, you'll see what I mean. Wu-Tang Clan has actually turned himself into this bird-looking thing to the right there, and see it just changed back. So by using his super-powered mana attack, he was able to channel that bird demon. And Ghost Monk can do the same thing. I just did not have a super-duper attack to go. So there you go. You can see Wu-Tang Clan hit me a little bit. No big deal. I'm sure I'll whack him with my sword here in a second. Yep, sure enough, I poisoned him. So like I said earlier, the whole friendly fire thing kind of makes co-op a bit of a bummer. If anything, it definitely makes it even more challenging than it is just playing by yourself. It'd be nice if Ace Team could possibly add in an option to turn off friendly fire, because when you get in these tight skirmishes, again, you can see we're even trying to stay on the opposite sides of the screen. But it gets tough. I mean, sometimes you'll get knocked into the enemies. Their enemies will get knocked at you. You throw your projectile, it goes over their head into your buddy's enemies they're fighting. So a lot of times you'll see I'm kind of just standing back with the monk, spectating, because I don't want to come in and start whacking Wu-Tang Clan and taking down his health even more than the enemies are doing. So that's definitely one of my bigger pet peeves with Abyss Odyssey's co-op mode. So again, I'll just kind of let you enjoy the jumping. Oh, before I do, here's a prime example of how the platforming controls can get a little wonky. Notice Wu-Tang Clan got ahead of me, I couldn't catch up, so I somehow ended up out of view and he had to come back down and get me. Not a big deal. Maybe it was my fault, I don't know, but we both kind of agreed that the jumping felt a little flighty, almost like you were experiencing 0G once you took off. So there again, just want to chime in, you can see Wu-Tang Clan turned into that bird thing again. You just do that by hitting down on the D-pad as long as you have already possessed a demon soul. That glowing blue light you saw right there, that is the door out of this level of the Abyss. For some reason, we wanted to keep kicking more ass, so we passed it by. And instead of kicking ass, we're getting ours kicked. So Wu-Tang Clan, he's over there doing his thing with his demon. I'm doing my thing with my demon. This ideally is the setup you'd want when you're fighting in those little closed-off skirmish windows. Alright, so we're going to check out the map here maybe. Or we're just going to look at each other. So there you can kind of see the maps. Like I said, you have the 3 starting locations. The one on the left is the easiest. The one on the right is the hardest, even though it is the shortest path to the Warlock's Chamber at the very bottom. So ideally, your goal is to just keep moving down. So what we have here, think of this as like a bonus level in between actual Abyss levels. And what it'll do, it'll automatically turn you into one of the demons and then throw a bunch of other demons for you to kill. This is kind of resemblant of what the game's versus mode is. Like I said, very Super Smash Bros. Melee. And these are not easy. I mean, these are true bonus sections where you will be tested to earn points. But as you can see, it turns into a cluster again. Button mashing isn't really ideal, but sometimes it's your only option. Just make sure your buddy's not around, just so you're not mashing their face in with your stray slamming of the face buttons on a controller. Speaking of which, this game is definitely recommended to play with a controller and not the keyboard and mouse. The nice thing about these bonus missions outside of getting extra points and ranking up is, again, it presents its own unique art style. I mean, it's almost like this negative look. Pretty cool. Just, once again, changes things up in between playthroughs. So as we're still banging on, just to go into this game, I mean, overall, I've enjoyed what I've played. Single player right now is kind of my preference, only because of the whole friendly fire issue in co-op. But it is a very fun, intriguing, addicting game. The replayability is ridiculous. Like I said, every time you go down the Abyss, a new procedural generation process runs and creates all new levels. So you're never going to make the same run twice. Plus, even though there is a permadeath, again, if you die once, a soldier can come back and save you. But if you die as a soldier, your game's over unless you had a camp token saved at one of those altars. If you don't have the camp token, your game is over, but luckily you will keep your XP and level that you earned. So eventually, after through grinding trips through the Abyss, you will have the required skills needed to take on some of the more troublesome sections. So slowly as we played together, Wu-Tang Clan and I, we got better at figuring out the strategy of fighting, except I think he just kicked me in the head and killed me, so perfect. That just goes back to what I was saying. See how I came back as a regular soldier. So I'm no longer the badass ghost monk. I'm just a lowly Chilean soldier here who only has a gun attack with the Y button and this heavy sledgehammer with the X button. They do come with a fair amount of health, so Ace Team does give you a great chance to get to an altar to get revived. So let's see here if we can make it to an altar and get the Ghost Monk back. Alright, so we're coming up to an altar. If it hasn't been used, we should be able to... Yep. So my boy did his job. Now the Ghost Monk is back, and we can get back on our journey with 2 full-fledged warriors versus the handicap of using the soldier. Do a little happy dance. So there's that whole checkpoint thing. We don't have any camp tokens. This guy's not selling any camp tokens, so no saves for us. That may or may not come and bite us in the end. I'll kind of let you see what happens at the end of the video here. So we're on our way again. 2 merry warriors to find the bottom of the abyss and take down the warlock. Let's see how we do in this battle.
She's gone.
Oh, it looks like we lost the Wu-Tang Clan, and I didn't even kill him. But he's back as a soldier. Oh, watch out. Watch out, buddy. Hey, there you go. Welcome back. I gave him a good uppercut swipe with my sword to the face. He didn't need that health anyways. You can see how I bounced the guy at him. At one time, we had like a juggle going, but obviously not in this scene. So he's trying to shoot the guy. I'm trying to bat the guy away, but every time he's essentially shooting me in the face. This is the joys of Abyss Odyssey's co-op and friendly fire. So here's a bummer. Notice how we went back to the same altar I just used to get my warrior back, but when Wu-Tang Clan went there, he could not get his. That's because I already used it. So now he's stuck with his soldier until we find a fresh altar. Altars may or may not be in every level of the abyss too, so it gets a little shady when you don't have an altar to get to. Because again, once that soldier dies, you are dead unless you have used a camp token at an altar. There's another platforming excellence by myself here. I can promise you I'm pointing the guy left even though he kept looking to the right. Hup, 1, 2, hup, 1, 2, hup, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, good, easy. I mean, like the game's difficulty is no joke. The easy ones, sure, not too bad. Martyr to hard, good luck. Wu-Tang Clan and I, we did try to make a run through the 3rd starting point, which is the most difficult, and we got pwned. I bet we lasted only about 15-20 minutes before we got completely wiped out. It didn't help that his character was only at a level 8 and I was upwards of 16. But I think even if we had fully loaded up characters, it would still be one hell of a challenge, which is good. I mean, again, sometimes you don't want games to be too easy. This game, I don't feel like it was cheap when I died, although sometimes the controls I felt like I was getting stuck or not able to dodge in time. But never once did I get frustrated at Abyss Odyssey for a death. A lot of times it was my fault running in and not being a little more strategic with my attacks. So the Wu-Tang Clan's still doing good with his soldiers, surprisingly. I'm trying to stay away from him because I know if I even get remotely close, I'm going to give him a few whacks on the head, which is only going to get him closer to permadeath. The variety of enemies isn't great. I mean, you have the Judith character who I'm beating up on the left, then you have these kind of see-through Dr. Manhattan type of deals. There are mini-bosses, if you will, and kind of a dungeon gatekeeper. Those are random as well, so I'm not going to say we're going to hit one or not. The mini-bosses are essentially shadow versions of the character you are playing, so they will definitely give you a fit. There's also kind of a dungeon defender, or the king badass, as I like to call him, who kind of sits in the middle of the abyss. And depending on the route you take, you may or may not have to fight him. I believe the Wu-Tang Clan and I do have a little tussle with him a little bit later on this video if you want to stick around and watch that. It's like a trained dog. You can see I'm trying to stay out of Wu-Tang Clan's attack radius so I don't get hit. And I'm also trying to stay out so when I attack he doesn't get hit. Because you can see our health is getting very low, and it's usually because we are beating each other and not the enemies beating us. Also, here's just another visual style to the game. Again, this is that more vibrant, swampy forest look. Love the style. I mean, it kind of almost has a 2.5D feel where the background is alive and has a sense of depth. Oh, here we go. We finally found an altar for the Wu-Tang Clan to bring Catrian back. So there, he smacked me in the head just for old time's sake to let me know that she's alive and doing well. Earning gold is key because you're going to need these stronger weapons. The weapons also have poison effects or other elemental based attacks. You can have fire weapons, ice weapons, and if you do die permanently you lose any of your equipped items. So like I said, this game's not meant to be easy, people. Not meant to be easy at all. Alright, so there's one of the few times where we took a side entrance. So we're essentially crossing over from the easy path into the middle path. There still may be easy sections, but now our challenge, A, is going to get a little quicker to the bottom of the Warlock if we make it, and B, it's going to be a little more difficult. Highly recommend to smash everything you can smash because you know what you're going to find. Coins are great, but I can tell you right now, life potions are even more important. In fact, I don't even know if you could beat this game without ripping your hair out if you did not have at least 1 or 2 health potions going into the final battle with the Warlock. That being said, you probably want to have a camp token installed at an altar very close to the Warlock's layer as well. In that case, if you die, you at least get 1 chance to come back as a full-on warrior. No, thanks, Wu-Tang. Thanks for that fireball, buddy. There you go. Knock you off the ledge with my massive sword. I do have to admit, I mean, we weren't chatting when we were playing, but I was definitely cracking up every time I knocked him out or he hit me. It seemed like no matter how hard we tried, we couldn't help but kicking each other's asses. I'm sure he thought I was doing it on purpose, but I can assure you, Wu-Tang, it was all innocent, friendly fire. There's these NPCs sprinkled throughout. We just talked to one of those guys. He sits there and strums on a guitar. If you talk to him, he tells you something very obvious, but by paying him 100G, you get XP usually. Here's another one. This guy's playing a violin. He sits at these devil's altars. If you pay him money, he'll actually turn into a skill for you to use. So here I have a skill point. Thinking about which skill to use it on. I've already got him full on my overhead slash, so I'm going to do it on my fireball. Looks like, yeah, we'll make it a little more, give it a little more damage power. You can also reset your skills, so don't feel bad if you burn a skill and you don't like how you use it. You can reset them and then redistribute, which is kind of cool. Alright, let's go! Down the hole! Woo! Here's a moderate difficulty level. Should be moderately more difficult. Again, with the background's beautiful. I just love this art style, and I don't think we ran into the same looking level yet. We're going on, you know, over 20 minutes of gameplay. Watch out for that fire! Woo! So moderate brings super saw blades. Fair enough. And flying ice fish. Alright, right here we have a lock chest. So there are certain lock chests scattered throughout the abyss which require you to find a key, which is usually attached to some enemy. So you kill the enemy, you get the key, then you can come back to the lock chest and get its loot. Lock chests typically always yield a ton of coins and at least some sort of potion, either an antidote for poison, a health potion, or a mana potion. Oh, there he goes. He found the key and opened it up. Oh! 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 Yeah, I'd say this is a little more difficult than an easy level. Whole bunch of stuff to avoid. On the floor, in the air, on the walls. I'll get myself chopped in half. I don't need that health. So it's flying fish again. Oh my god, now we have a demon bull with sticks coming out of its back. Yeah, so I'm sure you didn't see it, but I instantly got killed, and I am now the soldier. And I'm getting the hell out of that mess, because I know if I just stay in there, not only is Wu-Tang Clan going to beat me down, but so are the green demented bull and this dude with his neon endocrine system. Or would that be a nervous system? Who's really keeping score? Hey, Guy Fawkes is fighting us too. Remember? The 5th of November. Alright, so things aren't looking good for our team. We've got Wu-Tang Clan's Catrian's running low on health, and then you got my soldier. He's doing alright, but again, he's not very spectacular. And so we need to get him to an altar as soon as possible. Or get frozen in the air and have your partner whack you out of it. Ooh, an altar! Get me up there! You can see my dead carcass on the table. Whew! Alright. So now we're back to full strength, but unfortunately Wu-Tang Clan, he doesn't get any more health. I get full health because I was revived, but that's about it. Now I'm going to see if I can bring anything with me that's going to help. So you can have a weapon, you can also have wearables, like a bracelet, a necklace, so on and so forth, that give you advantages. But if you die, you lose all these, so it's nothing you get to keep. You really only get to keep your earned XP and coins if you die permanently. Alright, so further down the rabbit hole we go. As you can see throughout, I mean, sometimes we just like giving each other love taps for good measure, you know. I mean, he does have a whole whopping, was that 300 health? So it doesn't matter. I smack him around with my huge poison sword a couple times. Oh, look how cool we are now.
I'm so...
I got your money! Yeah, maybe I should help him out since he's almost dead. I go to help him out, so he starts throwing fireballs at my face. Again, the joys of Abyss Odyssey co-op. I'm not being a very good fighter, even though he just jump kicked me in the back. But I'm really just spamming X right now. I mean, I could be trying to throw in some special attacks with Y, doing a little more jumping. But at this point, I'm just being a tank and just pounding X and trying to trap him in a corner. Kind of like that. Oh yeah, and those little red orbs you see, those are health, but it's very minimal. So again, like I said, if you can have health potions stocked up to use them with the D-pad up, you should be good to go. Alright, so we're in a serious situation here. I'm sandwiched between two enemies and a fire pit. So basically Wu-Tang Clan has no recourse but to sit there and watch. He valiantly tried to get in, but now he's getting his ass kicked. At least we're separated by the fire fountain now, so we can hopefully take out our enemies one by one. Alright, if you can see the map in the bottom right corner, you see that devil's head? That means we are approaching a oh shit fight. And here, as I teased earlier, this is one of the bigger bosses you'll encounter in the Abyss. You will not hit him on every go. It just depends where he spawns during your next run. This dude is very challenging. Again, he cannot be beaten by just spamming attacks, which we are trying to do, and we will fail miserably. Spoiler alert. The real kicker here is his horse attack. So whenever that horse comes in, if you're in the middle of an attack move or another jump, there's no way you're avoiding it. You're going to get hit. You're going to get knocked down again. You'll be slightly stunned, and then you'll get stepped on and die, kind of like we're doing now. I found this battle to be much easier in single player. A lot less action going on. A lot less enemies. If you can see the red-looking ghost monk, that's what I was talking about earlier, as well as those shadow bosses you'll encounter. So I think by playing co-op, we not only got this big badass boss, but we also got a shadow mini boss to fight. Alright, I've lost Wu-Tang Clan at this point. I've lost my warrior. I'm just a lowly soldier now. As you can see, it's just open season on my ass. I'm getting trampled by horses, beat up by this shadow monk, and now the Ice King demon boss is about to do me in here. I kind of give it my all. Bust out my 3-shot buckshot weapon here. Oh, now I'm poisoned. That's not going to do me good. We're just delaying the inevitable now, folks. It's only a matter of time before I am dead. And that's that. So once you die, you have to start over. We didn't have a save token, so we kind of went back to the hub world. Ray wanted to try the easy one again, but I was like, nah, man, let's take the ride over here on Poncho's horse cart, and let's give the most difficult Abyss entry a go. Now, I'll spare you that run through. I know we've already been going at it for well over 30 minutes. Just wanted to show you a different starting point. So this is Sacramentinos Cathedral. Like I said, this is the furthest to the right on the Abyss map. It has the shortest route to the Warlock, but it's also the most dangerous. But like all the other starting points, it has its own unique visual style. So once again, Ace Team's fantastic Art Nouveau art direction just looks great no matter where you are, the Abyss or these hub worlds.
You will be in our...
Oh, thanks, buddy. You're in our prayers, too. Now get in the hole! Alright, so right off the bat, we're in a moderate area. So, as you can see, you start on the right, you're going to pay with pain. Alright, so this Let's Play is just about over. Again, I'm Matt Haywood from EntertainmentBoo.com. Thanks for taking the time to check it out. My partner was the Wu-Tang Clan, a.k.a. Ray Pareka. He's my second in command on the website. Overall, we really enjoyed the game. We thought co-op left a lot to be desired, especially with the friendly fire. But the entire Abyss Odyssey package is well worth the $15 price point. Highly recommend checking it out on PC, PS3, or Xbox 360. We have a full review as well, which you can read on the site. EntertainmentBuddha.com, making you a better geek one post at a time.